Hello, this is going to be a guide to the final boss of Astlibra Revision, the Cave of Phantom Mists. I'm a huge fan of the base game and I just finished the DLC as well. And the final boss of this has a very nasty instant kill skill that you're supposed to get a correct skill for, and it just counters it and everyone's all happy and wonderful. But I'm not doing that. I'm going to use some super cheese and instead beat this fight in less than 1 minute, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So, for those of you who haven't played through Astlibra Revision or the expansion yet, or DLC, the game is kind of built heavily on different skills that you can apply to your character based on getting enough magic crystals. And I have a build I came up with from the base game that kind of breaks the game on any difficulty. I'm going to walk through some of the skills over the next few slides, and then we're going to get to the actual fight, and I'm going to try to explain it while I die and then dominate it several times. So I'm going to show you each one of my skill pages here, and not every skill is absolutely required. Some are just nice to have, some are just me throwing things on for whatever, and some are so game-breakingly powerful if I didn't include them, I would lose instantly. So let's go through each page really fast. For this first one, just some general quality of life features to have. Dash is always very important. Being able to see health is kind of handy as well. And nothing else to say here. The same goes for the second page. Having additional jump and kind of slow fall is really useful, especially for aiming. Everything else here is just secondary for this. And now we get to the good stuff. So most of the stuff on this page is nice to have, except for one thing, and that is Berserk. This is one of the best skills in the entire game. And it is also very important if you're trying to play this on Hell or Impossible difficulty in the base game. Because enemies already do tons and tons of damage to you, so they're all going to kill you in 1 or 2 hits, then you might as well get lots and lots of damage for it. The downside of this skill is that you will die from literally any source of tick damage. This includes bleed, this will include the hit from taking like a paralysis. Anything that will hurt you will do you in. And by itself, it's a very high risk, high reward strategy to work with. When you do it right, however, you will demolish every enemy and every boss fight in both Astlibra's base game and the DLC very quickly. Now this is the page for all the important defensive skills. Aegis in the upper left lets you block while you're in the air, which is very important when you need to be shielding yourself from any source of damage coming at you. But Sagea's Shell is the most important skill on this page. It basically grants you a mulligan. The first attack that hits you on any screen will be nullified. This also will allow you to protect yourself from anything that's very incidental, such as when enemies stomping around. It doesn't stop the kind of like ailments from getting through, but this will give you a buffer and is incredibly important. Second Wind grants you a little bit more iframes after your hit. I don't think it really did much. But God's Left Hand is another must-have. This allows you to use a shield whenever you're using a long or kind of super heavy weapon, like a giant club, giant mallet, whatever. And you need to have a shield for the strategy to work, just as a good source of a buffer or an emergency in case there's just too many attacks coming in. But remember, not every attack in this game can be blocked via a shield, especially like AoE or like those ground wave attacks. Now, another essential skill is Eliminate. What this does is anytime you cast a magic attack, no matter the size of it or the cost, it will destroy all active bullets on screen. Now, that's a very important caveat. If the enemy is charging and there's like bullets kind of like in like their mouth or their hand and it hasn't been launched at you yet, this skill will not work on them. It's only after they are kind of active and coming after you that it will work. But this is vital, especially if you're playing on the higher difficulties, when boss fights turn into bullet hell. It does not, I believe, work on like death laser attacks, however, because they're not considered like a projectile, just like a giant beam of death that's coming your way. We're now going to damage, and whatever the elemental type of your weapon is, you want to have a corresponding skill attached to it. This will just add more damage on top of everything else that you're doing. The weapon that I'll show before we actually get to the boss fight uses shadow base or darkness damage, so I put this one on. And for this page, nothing too important here, other than Kamatachi, which I'm pretty sure I just butchered. This skill increases your iframe when you are dodging or when you're doing your backdash, and is quite essential for this strategy if you want to pull it off. And for the last page, something that is also essential, and that is gemstone power. So the resource or the gem that you pick up that lets you unlock more styles is tied to this skill. The more than that you have, the more your damage is increased. It doesn't sound all that important on paper, but if you hoard these gems, like I did, I think I had like 60 or 70 of them in my inventory by the end of the game, this adds a very nice chunk of damage to your character. And again, all the damage on top of Berserk will work for you and make things faster. So I want to show off just the gear that I use and what my stats were before I did this. And we're going to talk over while the footage plays. I did make a few mistakes before I got the winning run and kind of got it down to a science. And before we get to the main footage, here are the spells that I used. You need to have any low cost spell on in order to use the bullet destroying skill, but Parthena, which I completely butchered, is kind of like the upgraded bullet reflex skill, which is also very handy, and it's a really good skill to use at any time in either the base or the DLC game if you're going for the strategy, as many of the bosses turn to bullet hell battles. And Athena is a must-have, as it's your easiest way to not only cure any ailments that come your way, but it gives you some resistance to them as well. If you're hit with any form of bleed, if you can immediately cast Athena before the chip damage comes in or the DOT, then you will be saved from it. So the goal is I want to get through this boss before he cycles around to his first pattern again. And I turned on the time attack mode just to kind of see how well it goes. I think it's also another achievement. So the boss will always begin with the same attack. He'll breathe fire and then swipe with his claw. You can teleport or backdash out of the way for it. The head, even though it will get staggered, does not stagger his arm, which will cast these low homing bolts or blasts. And there, I think I got smacked by one of his fireballs, which will come back to haunt me. Now here comes the big breath of death attack. So what you're going to do is get as close as you can to him, and then the second you see orbs start flying, cast your spells. 2 of them should be enough, and then just as time's about to run out on your vulnerability, backdash, and you'll backdash through the blast as it's dissipating. Now, I almost did this first try, but then I screwed up coming up here. So, fireballs, I didn't need to use reflect. Athena would have just done the trick, but then I accidentally ran right into this homing water ball. And that water ball lasts quite a long time. It's what also makes trying to do this super speedy very annoying. So, here I'm just going in, using all my kind of special attacks to do mass damage. At this point, I've gotten a little bit better at the timing for it. And this time I didn't get hit by an attack already. So again, for this first part, just wail him. You can see me just chipping away at that massive health bar. Another thing that you can do to make this part a little bit safer is as you're casting the spells, keep attacking to build up your SP gauge. Now, unfortunately, I didn't dodge there, and because of that, the orb still nicked me, and I ended up getting killed. So, third time is hopefully going to be the charm. And again, you can see how all this damage I'm doing is also just really piling on. I also have the skill that increases the amount of damage you do while an enemy is broken, which I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But again, for this first part, just hit, and then just get ready for it. You don't need to be facing him. In fact, it's better to not be facing him so you can backdash easier. So cast 1, cast 2, and then I cast a third one for safety. And if you cast 3, that should more or not guarantee you to avoid that attack. 2 should be all that you need, and I'll show a more executed version of this in a second. So again, Am I going to remember? Nope, I'm still casting that. The reflect damage doesn't really matter here. You have a skill that can do it, and unfortunately I still am getting to that problem of I'm casting reflect way too much, and it's costing me too much SP. So this one should be my winning play. Again, this time I'm smartly using Athena instead of the more expensive mirror. And here we go again. But once you get this down in terms of avoiding the Breath of Death, it's very easily to avoid. So again, cast 1, cast 2, and then I'm going to dodge right there. And the additional iframe from the backdash is enough to carry me through it. So we're going to get in. And I'm still just laying on me, even though the fireball is happening. But again, this time I'm going to be casting Athena to make it easier. And using the backdash to avoid it. Now unfortunately that war ball or wind ball, wherever it is still going to follow me. It's going to go away in about 3 seconds. There we go. And now I'm just going to go in for more aggression. He's now going to try and cast more of his little breath. And I'm still being very cautious here. But he should be dead in about 5 seconds. Or even faster than that. And there we go. Very easy fight once you know what you're doing. And I set a new record. And if you want a final like super secret achievement, you have to beat him on leveling challenge as well, which I chose not to do. And here's when I accidentally ran forward and triggered the first phase of this fight. So as a bit of a bonus for this video, I'm going to show beating this guy very quickly. Originally I was just going to let him kill me and end it, but then I thought, you know what, I'm doing enough damage, let me just destroy him like that. And in fact I ended up fighting the boss a second time, this time without the timer, but doing it far more cleaner. So again, very simple fight if you know what you're doing. Again, every boss fight in Astlibra is a very pattern cycle based. So once you know the order they're going to do things in, it's just a matter of execution. And of course, having a whole mess of power. And at this point, I've done the Breath of Death dodge so many times that it's become almost second nature. So there's 1, there's 2, and then dodge, and I'm clean. I wonder if those reflect shots can actually hurt me. But anyway, he's going to go down very shortly. And with that, I hope this helped you out with this video. So, the only thing I'm going to ask from you folks is, can anyone please tell me where the damn rope is? Because apparently there's another side quest involving the rope, and I have no idea where it is. And I've already beaten everything, literally I have beaten everything else in this game, in terms of required fights. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm not going to show you the whole ending. If you want to see the whole story bits, then you need to play the game yourself or go watch some other video. Other than that, thanks for tuning in, do YouTubing stuff, check out my main channel, and have a great rest of your night.